Imagine a chess game where the pieces are made of solid gold and the players are not individuals but entire nations. Each move is calculated not just for immediate gain, but for long-term strategic advantage. Such a game is unfolding in the heart of West Africa as we speak. In the dust-blown landscapes of Burkina Faso, beneath the soil that has witnessed centuries of history, lies a treasure that has sparked a new chapter in international relations. Gold, the eternal metal of kings and emperors, is once again at the centre of a story that combines wealth, power, politics, and survival. Captain Ibrahim Traore, a man fighting for stability in Burkina Faso, has just handed the keys to one of its golden vaults to Russia's Nordgold. But this isn't just about mining permits and extraction rights. It's about shifting global alliances, a country turning its back on old friends to embrace new ones, and a precious metal that has soared to record heights in a world of uncertainty. What's most interesting is what the US has said about this, and how African leaders like Julius Malema have responded. More on this in a moment. But what forces are really at play in this golden chess match? Why would a military government facing insurgency and instability choose this moment to deepen ties with Moscow? And most importantly, as gold prices reach dizzying heights under President Trump's renewed trade policies, who stands to benefit the most from this glittering arrangement? But what does gold represent for a country like Burkina Faso? Gold, that ancient symbol of wealth and power, has been on an extraordinary journey in 2025. Prices have skyrocketed by over 25% since the beginning of the year, creating a modern-day gold rush for nations fortunate enough to possess this precious resource. This meteoric rise isn't happening in a vacuum. The global landscape has been transformed by escalating geopolitical tensions and the resurgent trade policies of US President Donald Trump, whose America First approach has sent ripples through international markets. Investors seeking safe havens in uncertain times have flocked to gold, driving its value to historic highs. For a country like Burkina Faso, this golden opportunity couldn't have come at a more critical moment. Since 2015, this West African nation has been locked in a brutal struggle against Islamist militants who now control approximately 40% of the country's territory. The security crisis has strained the economy and drained government coffers at precisely the time when resources are most needed. But beneath Burkina Faso's challenged surface lies immense wealth. Over the past decade, gold has quietly overtaken cotton as the country's leading export commodity. Today, approximately 70 tons of gold are extracted annually from 17 mines scattered across the country, making Burkina Faso one of Africa's significant gold producers. The country produced over 57 tons in 2023 alone. This golden bounty has attracted mining companies from across the globe. Canada's IAMGold and Endeavour Mining, Australia's West African Resources, and now, with increasing prominence, Russia's Nordgold. Each sees in Burkina Faso's soil the glimmer of opportunity. But as we'll discover, not all mining relationships are created equal. As gold prices continue their upward trajectory, the stakes in this game have never been higher. For Burkina Faso's strongman, Captain Ibrahim Traore, who's faced with both security and economic challenges, maximising the return on the country's natural resources has become not just desirable, but essential for survival. But the choice of partner in this golden venture speaks volumes about the changing political winds in this part of Africa. What does this gold rush mean for the average Burkinab citizen? And why at this particular moment has the government chosen to strengthen its ties with Russia through this mining licence? Deep in the heart of Burkina Faso's Plateau Central region lies the new gold deposit, 52.8 square kilometres of mineral-rich land that has just become the latest front in Russia's expanding economic influence in Africa. On Thursday, the Burkinabe government announced it had granted an industrial mining licence to Nordgold, a Russian mining company, already operating the Bissa and Buli mines in the country. The numbers behind this deal tell a compelling story. According to the Council of Ministers, the new mine is expected to yield almost 21 metric tons of gold over its 8-year lifetime. At current prices, this represents a substantial treasure trove for both the company and the host nation. Under the terms of the agreement, Gilby Burkina, now owned by Nordgold, will retain an 85% stake in the project. The Burkinabe government will hold the remaining 15% without having to make any financial contribution, a provision aligned with the country's revised mining regulations that aim to ensure greater national benefit from natural resources. The economic impact for Burkina Faso is projected to be significant. Over its lifespan, the project will contribute almost $90 million to the state's budget and an additional $12.3 million to the state's mineral wealth fund. In a country grappling with security challenges and economic pressures, this influx of revenue represents a vital lifeline. The government has also highlighted the employment benefits, stating that the mine could generate 204 direct jobs while helping sustain employment at the nearby Bissa gold mine, also operated by Nordgold. For local communities in the Corwego province, these employment opportunities could provide crucial economic stability. Why has Traore's military government chosen to deepen his country's relationship with Russia at this particular moment? And what does this tell us about the shifting alliances in a region that has traditionally been under Western influence? The answer lies in a dramatic political pivot that has been unfolding since 2022. The Nordgold license represents far more than just a business transaction. It symbolises a profound geopolitical shift that has been accelerating since Captain Ibrahim Traore seized power in September 2022. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso has been systematically turning away from its traditional Western allies and embracing Russia with increasing enthusiasm. This pivot is particularly noteworthy given reports from just months ago in October 2024 that Burkina Faso had planned to cancel licenses for some foreign mining companies, and Nordgold was rumoured to be among them. The apparent reversal raises intriguing questions about what changed in the intervening months and what diplomatic manoeuvring may have occurred behind the scenes. The answer seems to lie in Burkina Faso's broader strategic realignment. In a move that parallels actions taken by neighbouring Mali and Niger, the country has broken away from the regional West African bloc, ECOWAS, to form a new alliance called the Alliance of Sahel States. This triumvirate of military-led nations has collectively cut ties with former colonial power France and pivoted firmly toward Moscow. Captain Traore has been particularly bold in his embrace of Russia. General Langley, the person in charge of the Africa US Command, even accused Captain Traore of selling Burkina Faso's gold to Russia so that Putin will protect and keep him in power. Langley implied that the sale wasn't benefiting the ordinary Burkinabe. Julius Malema of the EFF party in South Africa was quick to rebuke General Langley's claims, calling them an insult and interference in African affairs. In a significant move earlier this year, Traore committed Burkina Faso to joining BRICS, the economic alliance that includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, among others. This decision signalled an unambiguous intention to integrate Burkina Faso's economy more closely with this alternative power bloc that stands as a counterweight to Western-dominated international organisations. The timing of the Nordgold licence, coming after the BRICS announcement, suggests a deliberate strategy of strengthening economic ties to complement political alignment. By granting a valuable mining concession to a Russian company, Burkina Faso's government has created tangible economic interdependence to underpin its diplomatic shift. But why Russia? The answer appears multifaceted. First, there's the security dimension. Despite promises by France and other Western allies to help combat the jihadist insurgency, the security situation in Burkina Faso has continued to deteriorate. Captain Traore's government has expressed frustration with Western assistance and has increasingly looked to Russia for security cooperation, including the reported presence of Wagner Group mercenaries. Second, there's the sovereignty argument that resonates strongly with many Burkinabe citizens. The military government has framed its pivot to Russia. By partnering with Russia instead of former colonial powers or Western multinational corporations, the government portrays itself as breaking free from historical patterns of exploitation. Third, there's pragmatic economic calculation. Russia's approach to resource extraction in Africa has often involved fewer conditions regarding human rights, democratic governance, or environmental standards, allowing for deals that might be more immediately favourable to ruling regimes, if not necessarily to long-term national interests. The growing Russian influence in Burkina Faso and the broader Sahel region represents a significant challenge to Western interests in West Africa. For decades, countries like France and the United States have maintained considerable economic and security influence in the region. The new Russia-friendly axis of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger signals a dramatic realignment that could reshape regional dynamics for years to come. If this story of Russia's growing influence in Africa's goldfields has stirred something in you, even just a little, then don't scroll past without doing your part. Hit that like button to show you're not one of the silent ones. Subscribe to The New Tourist if you believe these shifting power dynamics deserve to be understood, not ignored. And don't keep this to yourself. Share this video with someone who still thinks Africa's resources and politics are simple matters. Because if we stay silent about how these gold deals reshape African alliances, we're no better than those who stood by and watched history burn. We're no better than those who silently observed as the old colonial powers dictated Africa's destiny. Now let's examine the internal political context in which this mining deal is unfolding. The Nordgold license has been granted against a backdrop of extraordinary political turmoil within Burkina Faso. Just days before the announcement, on April 16th, Security Minister Mahamadou Sana appeared on state television with a startling announcement. The government had foiled a major plot to overthrow Captain Ibrahim Traore. According to Sana, the coup attempt was led by current and former soldiers working in concert with terrorist leaders. The alleged plan involved an assault on the presidential palace with the ultimate aim of sowing total chaos and placing the country under the supervision of an international organisation. This language suggests the government believes external forces were seeking to undermine Burkina Faso's sovereignty. In a provocative accusation, Sana claimed that the brains outside the country are all located in Ivory Coast, specifically naming 2 former army officers as being behind the plot. This accusation against a neighbouring country heightens regional tensions at a time when Burkina Faso has already distanced itself from many of its traditional regional partners. The timing of the Nordgold license announcement, coming so close on the heels of the alleged coup attempt, raises intriguing questions. Could the deepening of economic ties with Russia be seen as a form of insurance against Western-backed regime change? Is the gold deal partially intended to secure Russian support in the event of further destabilization attempts? Gold has always been intertwined with power in Burkina Faso. The precious metal provides crucial revenue that can fund security operations, maintain patronage networks, and reduce dependence on international donors who might attach political conditions to their assistance. By partnering with Russia rather than Western mining companies, the military government potentially gains a partner less likely to criticize its governance or human rights record. The question of who benefits from Burkina Faso's gold wealth is central to understanding the country's political dynamics. While industrial mining operations like Nordgold's generate tax revenue and formal employment, they typically extract the majority of profits for foreign shareholders. Critics argue that neither Western nor Russian ownership fundamentally changes this dynamic. The difference lies primarily in which foreign powers benefit from Burkina Faso's natural resources. In fact, General Langley said that Traore is selling gold to Russia so that Russia can help him stay longer in power. This is where it gets interesting. On the streets of Ouagadougou and in rural villages across Burkina Faso, opinions about the Nordgold license and the broader Russian pivot are as complex and varied as the country itself. For many Burkinabe citizens, the primary concern isn't which foreign power gets to extract their gold. It's whether any of the resulting wealth will improve their daily lives. public sentiment regarding Russia's growing influence appears mixed. There's undeniable popular support for Captain Traore's anti-colonial rhetoric and his rejection of French influence, which many view as having failed to deliver security or prosperity despite decades of presence. Russian flags can occasionally be seen at demonstrations in the capital, suggesting some enthusiasm for the new partnership. However, this support isn't universal or uncritical. Some civil society organisations and opposition voices have expressed concern about trading one form of foreign influence for another. They question whether the Russian partnership will ultimately prove more beneficial to ordinary citizens than previous arrangements with Western powers and companies. The critical issue for many is employment. The government's announcement that the new mine will create 204 jobs has been met with cautious optimism in a country with high unemployment, particularly among youth. Yet this must be balanced against Ulf Lassing's warning that industrial mining may displace artisanal miners, potentially causing net job losses in affected communities. The regional implications are significant. The alliance between military-led Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, all now aligned with Russia, represents a substantial bloc within West Africa. Their collective pivot away from ECOWAS and toward Moscow challenges the regional architecture that has guided West African integration for decades. For Western powers, particularly France and the United States, the loss of influence in the resource-rich Sahel represents a strategic setback. Their ability to shape security and economic outcomes in the region is diminishing as Russia's footprint grows. This may prompt reassessment of Western approaches to the region, potentially leading to new initiatives to counter Russian influence. Ultimately, the success of Burkina Faso's Russian pivot will be judged by its impact on the country's fundamental challenges: defeating the jihadist insurgency, improving economic conditions for ordinary citizens, and establishing political stability. The Nordgold license and the broader relationship with Russia will be deemed successful only if they contribute meaningfully to these urgent priorities. As the dust settles on Burkina Faso's mining deal with Nordgold, we're left with a story that transcends simple business transactions. This is a tale of a nation at a crossroads, making consequential choices about its future partners, its economic development, and its place in the world. The gleaming gold that will be extracted from the new deposit over the next 8 years represents more than just a precious metal. It symbolises Burkina Faso's attempt to convert natural resources into national salvation at a time of unprecedented challenges. Whether this partnership with Russia will deliver the security, prosperity, and sovereignty that Captain Traore's government promises remains an open question. What is clear is that the traditional patterns of influence in West Africa are being dramatically rewritten. The era of unquestioned Western economic and security dominance in the region is fading, replaced by a more complex landscape where Russia, China, and other powers compete for access and influence. As gold prices continue their remarkable ascent, driven by global uncertainty and shifting trade policies, the stakes of this game will only increase. The decisions made today about who extracts Burkina Faso's gold, under what conditions, and for whose benefit will reverberate for generations to come. This isn't just a story about gold mining licenses or Captain Traore's pivot to Russia. It's about something far deeper, about Africa reclaiming control of its resources, challenging old power structures, and forging new paths in a world where gold still dictates who holds power. The gleaming metal that will emerge from the new deposit represents more than just wealth. It symbolises Burkina Faso's attempt to determine its own destiny. Whether this Russian partnership delivers the security, prosperity, and sovereignty that the people deserve remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the old colonial patterns in West Africa are being rewritten, and we're witnessing history unfold in real time. If you felt anything watching this, indignation at how Africa's wealth has been exploited, curiosity about Russia's growing influence, maybe even a little fire in your chest about how African leaders like Traore can fight imperialism and neocolonialism, then don't let that feeling disappear. Subscribe to The New Tourist right now, because this isn't the last story about Africa's resource revolution we're telling. Not by a long shot. Like this video, so the algorithms don't bury a truth that challenges comfortable Western narratives about who should control Africa's gold. Share it with your family, your friends, and your group chats. Be the reason someone else understands what's really happening at the intersection of gold, power, and shifting global alliances. Because The New Tourist isn't just a channel anymore. It's a movement to reveal the complex realities behind headlines about Africa's resources and relationships. And the story we're writing together about who truly benefits from Burkina Faso's golden soil, it's only just beginning.